ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse, where tonight we have a very late and very special episode today. I am OmniBeau, joined by Steve. How are you, Steve?
Good evening, sir. How are you? Nice to see you as always.
You too, my friend. If you do want to interact, please hit us up on Instagram at AussieVerse_Comx, where you will also see our wonderful graphic designer, A51_designs. Now, tonight is very special because, as you already are aware, due to the thumbnail, we have the Uncanny Omar and Astonishing Melanie from Near Mint Condition. I'm so nervous that I knew I was going to stuff something up in the beginning. It's natural, right? This is my favorite channel. I literally watch them every day. I stay up Saturday nights to about 1 a.m. now, thanks to daylight savings, no more 3 a.m. No further ado, let's get them out here. Ladies and gentlemen, Omar and Melanie from Near Mint Condition.
Hey,
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you very much for joining us.
That was a heck of an introduction.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Steve. Yeah.
It's usually got a bit more gusto to it.
People in our basement. What is it?
G'day, Spedsy. Here we go. We've got more comments here. So what have you guys got planned for today after this?
Staying hydrated.
Mowing the lawn.
And doing the live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And Resident Evil 4 remake.
I'm playing Legend of Zelda, Breath of the
Behind
Wild.
a yoga mat.
We're very, very boring people. I've been, I told Bo.
Playing video games isn't boring.
Oh, yeah. That's always fun. I told Bo the other day, I was like, hey, after years of avoiding it, Corona finally hit me. That's why Melanie and I are on separate locations. Well, we're in the same house, just different places. So yeah, I got Corona, which sucks because I made a comment on my Patreon.
Nobody says that anymore. Or do you mean Australia? Corona? Everybody says COVID.
Everybody says COVID?
Yeah, we call it COVID.
Oh, my bad. COVID.
Trying to start something.
Corona's a beer.
Yeah.
I know. And the sales went down when that was going on. So I think there was some kind of legal action taken. But it sucks because I was trying to catch up, being ahead where I was on a trip with my daughter last week. We went to
I'm so proud of him. He didn't record yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted to. I was getting my voice back and I'm like, I really need. Then she's like, don't do it. I was like, okay, I won't do it. But so far as knock on wood, it's just been me and my mom that have caught it. My dad was in the hospital last week, so they're kind of staying away from each other. And I hope that's it. But I'm feeling a lot better. Seriously, I may sound bad, but I'm at like 80%, 75, 7.
Coincidentally enough, I've got a cold as well. So if I get a little sniffly, I'll be muting my mic. I apologize.
It's not me bringing the tears. Okay.
No, I've been sick for a couple of days here.
Oh, no.
Puerto Rico.
Rodman, ¿cómo estás, hermano?
Before we get started, I want to just point out how lovely, Steve, your background is in OmniBeau. Well, not background, like your physical setup. Yeah. Your shelves look really nice.
Well, I blame you both really for my background. I don't know about Steve.
I blame you.
Okay, so
I don't have any of those. What are those? Is it Hachette books up there? The ones with the connecting spines?
Yeah, those look great.
These ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, done by Eagle Moss.
Eagle Moss, that's who it is.
Yeah.
I don't have. Well, I have some, but I don't have those. So I'm not to blame for that.
Yeah, the Alex Ross spine's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a good idea to connect spines like that. Oh, that would be awesome if they could do that. It's I asked David Gabriel about that years ago about why don't they do connecting spines? That it would make people go and get a volume 3 when they would normally skip a volume 3. And he was like, well, it's the last step of designing a book. For anybody that has ever done custom omnis. Oh, Sharif, like your dude Sharif, I know he does.
Yes, he does.
He'll love that shout out.
So I've seen some of his stuff, man. Really cool. So the last thing you do is design the spine, because that's how you know the thickness of the spine. The like the binding company will send you an email going, this is 3.5 inches thick, or this is 2.5 inches. I'm sorry, not inches, centimeters. But you know what I'm saying? It's like they'll email you, and then that's when you design the spine. Because if you design a spine ahead of time and you give them a 1.5, I'll just stick to inches, inch design, and then the spine is like 3.5 inches,
No,
they're either going to stretch out the image
ruler.
or it's going to look horrible.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why they don't, because sometimes they don't know how many issues are going to be in there. They don't know the bindery that's going to be binding the books. And as you all know, depending on bindery, sometimes the spines are thinner or skinnier than other binderies. So that's why they don't do it.
So I wonder what went through their minds when they made the Acts of Vengeance omnibuses, because they're obviously the only ones that have ever connected.
Those were probably planned at the same time. And they weren't spines; they were the covers.
No, sorry, the covers. Yeah.
So they used the same printer, and they were probably designed at the same time. And the story was already finished, right? You can do that with stories that are finished, and you plan to release them back to back. But let's see, like an example, like Uncanny X-Men, right? If it's going to be a couple of years between now and the next volume, and you're waiting for a Colossus picture. The problem is like, we may lose the contract with that printer that's doing them now, and we have to go to another printer. Then we have to create a new file, and so that's why they don't do them.
That's happened with Eagle Moss as well, because Eagle Moss have now gone out of business.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't the spines that did that. I can guarantee that.
Everything else. So I've got a partially completed collection. It's frustrating.
Oh yeah, they're not finishing out some of them.
No.
It's negative 2.5. That's a good point.
That was a skinny one. Yeah, I put that book next to the Squirrel Girl omnibus to show like just the range.
Is it actually smaller than the Devil Dinosaur?
No,
it's not. Okay.
The Devil Dinosaur was only 9 issues.
Yeah.
I say only. The Planet of the Apes was 11 issues, so 2 more issues.
Well,
and they had enough room to write Marvel Omnibus the way that all the other ones have been written, whereas Devil Dinosaur had to do it sideways.
Well, I say I blame you guys for my collection in an obviously joking manner. However, there has been a book in your background for a long, long time, and once on your live stream, I asked you to pull it out for me, and you did. And it's that crawl space there.
Oh, Rick remembers.
Yeah, and it's because every now and then you'll pull out a book that I didn't know existed. You'll tell us about it. Yeah, and guess what? I finally saw one for sale because it's out of print. I snapped it up straight away, and it's on its way here. So there you go. That's another good reason to watch your channel, because you get to see books that you didn't know existed.
Oh, thank you. And that's I love doing that. I love showcasing books. You know, as much as I love DC and I love Marvel, there's a whole array of different stories out there that are collected that I like to bring to people's attention. It's one of my favorite segments to do every month is the Hidden Gems, to talk about books that, aren't out there on people's radar, or maybe it's like a creator's early work. Like right now, Daniel Warren Johnson's blowing up like everywhere, mainly because of his Wonder Woman Dead Earth, Powerbomb, and Murder Falcon, and Beta Ray Bill. But he did a lot of these early stories for Dark Horse that every once in a while sneak one into the Hidden Gems to see like just how different his stuff is.
Well, News Poo is saying that the paper is thinner now.
It is, but Devil Dinosaur is still slimmer, just a little bit.
Do you think, Steve and Bo, do you think it would be elitist of us to get a page measure how thick or thin it is? You know what I'm saying? I think it would just be fun, not to be
there's nothing fun about that.
Why is it not fun?
Because
let me pull out
I am not going down that rabbit hole of measuring paper.
Your what's it called?
My
your
fingertips
intuition is wrong. You're like, oh, this is thicker. I'll be like, wrong.
That's not. I'm not playing that game.
It'd take up a lot of time measuring all the different gauges and thicknesses of the different paper, and I'm sure there's a tool for it.
Yeah, I've never used one. I've never seen one. I just one day I was like tempted on Amazon to buy it. I put it in the cart. I'm like, I'll wait.
I'll throw that away because that is not becoming part of the. I'm not going to be doing overviews with that.
Well, you can explain later.
That's like another level of dorkiness. Like I don't need a scientific measurement of how much like the paper weighs.
I honestly don't care. I suppose, of course, if it's too thin, no, that stings.
I mean, if people care enough, then they can go and buy one and be like, oh, well, this one's a little thicker than the last one. So, yeah.
Omar does smell every omnibus. That's correct.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping like the only thing I knew about COVID is that people lost their sense of smell or taste or something like that. I lost neither. It's just been kind of like having a cold, really, for me, which I guess is I'm very grateful how far we've come, where it was before, right? Like you heard of the word and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're staying out of our town, you're gonna be exiled.
I don't know if you guys heard about us, but here in Melbourne, where Bo and I are from, we actually had lockdowns. So by 8 p.m. at night, everybody had to be off the road. The police were patrolling. You weren't allowed to travel more than 5 kilometers from your place of residence, which is only a couple of miles.
And you had people ringing the police, dobbing each other in, saying that they're having a party in their house.
They were ratting people out. Oh man, that's it wasn't like that here, but not. I mean, there were curfews and things like that. So
we had one guy in Melbourne who got fined 10,000 Australian dollars for going to get some buttered chicken. He drove into the city where he lived, and the police called it. So it was a $10,000 takeaway meal.
Wow,
yeah, that is incredible.
Really good chicken.
I hope it was worth it. Oh man, things were locked down here, but it was only a couple of weeks, and it wasn't like, I don't know. It felt like such a different time back then. But anyway, yeah, that's it's weird to think like everybody's had it just about now.
Yeah.
Whereas like before, it was like, oh man, we gotta avoid everybody that's had this. It's like having like a black plague, if you will.
You've done very well to get this far and not have it, because most people have been through, done it, all sorted, moved on. Yeah, you've done very well to hold out this long, Omar.
Yeah, thank you, man. I blame making YouTube videos for a living for that. I don't have to go anywhere. I work from home. If I catch it from somebody, who am I going to blame? Myself? No, Melanie. I can blame Melanie. Actually, she had it last year.
And right before school started.
Yeah, we kind of just treated it like we all got it, but I kept testing with the girls, and we kept testing negative. So it's weird, but we're going to Japan this summer, so I'm glad I got it now, right? And instead, that would have been awful.
You're right.
I was noticing Mr. Tech said that this person likes 40% of crawl space. Just ordered.
Yes. Yeah. What was wrong with the other 60%? It was the
beginning that you liked.
My favorite story in there is the. Oh man, it's the one that XXX Zombies. It's the adult film stars filming a movie during a zombie break. So they're the protagonists, right? Like the porn stars are the protagonists. He didn't finish the story though. That's why I always bring that up. Like there's one unfinished story in there, and a very long one that's kind of takes up probably about 40% of the book, which is what probably Mr. Tex didn't like.
I jumped on the Brubaker and Remender train way too late, and
things are being reprinted.
Yeah. Well, now I'm one of your people in the one of your minties that turn around when you say that these are being reprinted. I sit there and yes, like the Black Science, for example. I've never read it, but
it's good
for me to and for me to get them now, it's $200 a book or something ridiculous.
Think about like getting into this hobby a year and a half ago, right? Yeah. Where everything was going out of print because people were buying things up, and where COVID was happening, so people were buying more and more. Now things are getting back to the norm, and things are going to be reprinted. Like a year and a half ago, there was no way that Fear Agent like was even in the works, because that was something to do with the at least the oversized versions of Fear Agent.
I've only got one.
Well, they're doing both of them this year.
Yeah, so I'll be dying for that second one.
Oh, you never finished the story? Yeah.
No, I've read it, but I've only got.
Oh, okay.
One, so yeah.
But like things like that are now coming back to print, so it's been great. Like I think the weirdest one that I remember seeing come back to print, actually two of them, were the cases of the Usagi Yojimbo hardcovers, the Fantagraphics box set that they swore they were only going to do one print run of a hardcover, and that was it, which made me spend the most amount of money I ever spent on a collected edition. And then the Usagi Yojimbo Saga by Dark Horse, but releasing it, I think they released 650 copies of it, or I can't remember, to make up for their math mistake in the first one, because the first one, you all know the story behind these, right? Why these are so freaking impossible to find. So the first one was 900 copies. That's what it was. The first printing was 900 copies. Volume 2 was 1,500 copies, and so on. So
how does that make any sense?
Well, what they did was like, well, we'll just go back and reprint 600 limited editions. And they did, and I don't know which one's worth more. I think that one's still worth more because people were holding on to it. Yeah.
Melanie, I'm going to swap our heads because I think the writing could go over my face.
No, you're fine. Thank
third
you.
printing. Yeah, right. And again, Usagi was something that I jumped on late too. All I've got is the box set of the 2 hardcovers.
Yeah,
and the first 2 trades. That's it.
That's the ones that they said they would never reprint, and now you have them, which is great. I mean, I'm not one of these what do they call hipsters? I don't know, elitist that are like, oh man, my book is worth crap now because they're reprinting it. I think it's wonderful that things are accessible to people that are new to the hobby, because you're always going to have new people in the hobby.
Yeah, I'm totally the same as you, because I was looking for Planet Hulk Omnibus for a long time.
Hey.
And when I finally bought it, the next day you announced a new printing.
Well,
and
we can thank you, bro.
And I just remember one of my friends laughing, going, "Oh, thank you for your sacrifice, because now we get a new one." It's like, "Oh, damn it!" But one thing I did want to ask, I want to pick your brain about, is the prices here, right? Obviously, we've always mentioned to you how the prices here in Australia are always expensive, right? It's just the nature of the beast. It is what it is. However, it's now gotten to a kind of a ridiculous point in the last 2 or 3 months. So what's happened here is that when I would pre-order an omnibus, it would have the price, let's say $100, $125, whatever it is.
Okay.
And you're locked into that price because that's the pre-order price. But as the book is coming closer and closer towards the actual date, and you check the website, the price has now gone up and up and up, right? So obviously it's cheaper to pre-order. That's the way it's always been. Now what I've noticed is at a very popular comic book place that I won't name and shame, they've now, with their pre-order, they don't actually have the price. They've now got TBC. And that happened with the Warlock Omnibus. So I've pre-ordered it. I don't know what I'm paying. All of a sudden, it's released and you're charged $200, right? Now, the second part of that is that when you announced Deadpool and Cable Omnibus being released, I remember you saying it's $125 USD. And usually that would mean for us, I don't know, 180, maybe, something around there. And I've noticed now that those big omnibuses that are around, the 40 to 50 issue mark, like Deadpool and Cable, they are now being solicited here in Australia at $230 each.
Golly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happened in the last couple of months? I know. I'm not gonna claim to know what's going on.
Yeah, I just wanted your opinion. That's all.
Okay, my opinion is like, holy crap, that sucks. That really limits what you can get. Now, we're using Marvel Omnis as an example, but is this across the board? Is this Image? Is this DC?
No, actually, I've only noticed it with Marvel, actually.
Okay, so is it the store that's doing that? Is the store like using? Okay, so oh my god, it feels like a long time ago. In 2020, yeah, if you don't mind, in 2020, within the midst of everything that was going on, DC decided to do something that really ticked off a lot of retailers, and that is pull out of the Diamond Previews, making them exclusive. Diamond Previews has been the exclusive retailer for Marvel and DC, and oh my gosh, just about every comic for the last almost 2 decades. Now, of course, anytime you have one person doing that or one group doing that, you know, you're gonna have goods and bads. You're gonna have people complain about the monopolizing of this. And sure, there's monopolizing, but the benefits, sometimes would outweigh the negative stuff.
There we go.
Okay, so
this is one place, for example. Deadpool and Cable Omnibus. There you go. $229. The other one that I bought recently was Mark Spector. Is it OR? Moon Knight.
I always have to think too. Is it EROO?
Yeah.
Wait, so what you were saying earlier, or if it was this site or not, that you would pre-order, but you wouldn't know how much it was?
So originally, I would be able to pre-order at a cheaper price, and as it gets closer to the release date, the price would go up. So you would always say to yourself, "Always pre-order," and that was how you saved money. Where now, now it says TBC, and then when it's released, it comes out with a, "Wow, that's how much it is now."
Yeah, then oh my gosh.
Do me a favor, Bo, and look up the DC Metal Omnibus. Okay. That's $150 retail.
I like that move. I want that
so what I was saying is when that broke apart, so that's $259, right?
Yeah, and look at that. It also says $259 regular retail price, $320. It's crossed out the $320.
But what we're looking at here are Australian dollars. I'm so sorry, I'm so ignorant about this.
No, that's cool. Yeah, Australian dollars. Yeah.
Okay, Australian dollars. And what is the Australian dollar right now compared? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're having this conversation. I did not come prepared, and I have COVID. Australian dollar to American dollar.
It's about 67. About 67 cents.
There you go.
Okay, so $1 equals 67 cents. Okay. All right. So
COVID impairs your math skills.
Yes, it does, woman. Yes, it does. So my point is back to what I was saying about 2020 when the Diamond fell through and DC pulled out. That put them in a corner of what are we going to do, because now DC has left. Back then, what a lot of people, and I don't know if anybody in the chat here owns a store, but if retailers order from Diamond, the more you order, the more you saved. And of course, it's easier when you're ordering DC, Marvel, all your comics from the same retailer. So the more you order, the more you're going to save. Now you have to order DC comics exclusively through Lunar shipping or Lunar distribution, or stick to Diamond, which doesn't offer you the same discounts anymore. So thank you, Ryan, for the kind words, and thank you, Bo, for the sacrifice. So what happened was, this is one of the things I said would happen. Prices were going to go up. It was just inevitable. It was going to happen.
So $250 Australian dollar book is like 167 US dollars. At times 250 by 0.67. Am I correct? Correct? Okay.
Google has a thing where you just put in how much the price is and it'll automatically.
No, all you got to do is multiply by 0.67. It's right.
Why would you waste your time? Like whenever you think the abacus guy was going to hold true and be like, look, my abacus still works.
You're downstairs and I can't
you can't smack
push you in the face.
Well, so I think a lot of the problem is distribution overseas. you guys and people overseas, unfortunately, don't have the choices we do here. Whereas like here, you can order from Lunar, you can order from PRH, you can order from Diamond. Over there, you have to stick to, or I assume retailers are sticking to a couple of places. And those couple places, not all of them sell the what's it called? The direct market cover. So I think that might be a little bit of what's going on. I don't know what's going on with the price inflation though. That seems like a lot. Especially like if it's saying the normal price of that book is $320.
That might be BS. I don't know. Don't please do that. Like,
okay, well, like,
normal price.
They're saying the normal price of DC Metal is 320 Australian dollars. That's 211 American dollars. That book has a retail price of 150. Where are they getting the price? Like, okay, what happens? Okay, Bo, this is gonna be the weirdest show you're gonna do. Go to Amazon. Show me Amazon.
One sec.
Ryan's saying in Australia you all have access.
Clear history. You should have cleared your history before I jumped on
We're interested on Amazon right now. You've got the page thickness tool in your cart, don't you? You don't want Omar to see.
You are right, Melanie. Yeah, as Ryan said, we do have tax included on our prices as well. GST.
That's nice.
Okay, so they're already in there, right? Oh. Wow, your Amazon looks so much different than my Amazon. Australian Amazon is not
pretty,
as cool.
I like it.
Yeah,
actually, no, this isn't even .au. This is just .com. Hang on. You want .au? 1 sec.
Sure.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't specify.
I should have known.
Now, if you go here and let's look up the same books. Let's look up Batman, or I'm sorry, DC Metal, right? DC Metal Omnibus, because we just saw that they said the retail price of that book was 320 Australian dollars, right? Okay.
There you go.
All right.
165.
Does it say what the retail price is, or is 165 the retail price?
Yeah, it just says 165. They don't have you're saving money if you get this.
Oh,
is that Australian dollars since you're AU?
Yeah, this would be Australian.
Cheaper. No wonder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, let's look up.
Let's look up the same Mark Spector book.
Mark Spector.
We're doing detective work.
We're gonna figure this out today, Australia.
There we go. 156.
Okay, so the prices here are a lot more reasonable, right?
They are.
Okay, what does that say? ISB. I can't see. It says.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. RRP 260.
Okay, 260 actually sounds like what it should be.
Yeah. See, metal doesn't have that.
At 260. No, that's still too much. 260 is 172 American dollars. So if you're looking at that book, for example, the retail price is $125. That book retail price in Australia should be 189 Australian dollars retail.
What was the first one we looked up?
Deadpool and Cable, I think.
That's right. Yeah. Oop.
That's a fun book. I read it in verse though. You can't binge it.
Here we go. So 182, regular retail price 300.
That can't be right. Where are they getting these? Okay, unless hold on, 300 is $198 retail price. Unless, like I said, the distributors are doing an upcharge.
That's what I'd imagine.
If the distribution, not Marvel, not Amazon, not where were you Mighty Ape, but if the distributor, whoever that may be, whether it's Diamond, whether it's PRH, or whether, and I assume right now in the case right now is being Diamond, is doing an upcharge, that might be where that is coming from.
I'm not sure about that, Tex.
Are we doing that today?
Tex at the moment, it's about $1.12.
Recent reprint was 175. Okay.
Yeah, it was 175 American here.
And Reed, what you're saying about Amazon being a big company rather than a small store, of course they have to charge more. Like, I feel I'm the type of person that's like, Yeah, I want to save money, but I feel guilty not supporting, like which way do I go? I
Apparently
suppose
not.
really with Amazon, it's like kind of random things that I just don't really want to go look for at the store. So,
Well, I was mainly using Amazon as the place to get the retail price.
oh yeah, I know.
But if the
I was just
retail
saying earlier, like, gee, look at how much cheaper it is.
but if the retail price is if it's truly what they're saying, 300 Australian dollars, then that upcharge must be coming from distribution. So
Look at that, $94.99 currently on US Amazon.
so at this point, I mean, if it's $94 on US Amazon, let's do the math really quick. 142 Australian dollars. Do you guys get free ship? I don't know how it works, like from
No,
Amazon.
oh well, no, sorry. If you join Amazon Prime, you'll
Mhm.
get free shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just curious because we
So
think
this
about
is an
what's like
excellent
here.
question because
I wonder what it's like in other countries. Just random other countries. What it's like for them. Pick India or who knows what other.
well,
I just wonder
I
what
know
they're
in
going through.
Canada, it's difficult to get a good price, right? Because we have
yeah,
many
they
Canadian
use
viewers, and
mhm.
um,
In India, they're very limited
mhm.
to what they can get, where they go. I think I have several viewers from India that have asked me, where can I buy books? And sometimes Amazon is not even an option over there, depending on where they
Yeah.
live. Um,
Maybe it's got something to do with us living on a massive island.
Yeah.
it does take a day for the books to get there because of time travel. Hey, Pete. So this is a really interesting topic because yeah, whenever I do reviews, I always mention the retail price, and holy crap, I had no idea the retail price was being increased overseas. I remember in Canada they did that because I had an argument with a guy about a manga I was buying because he had a book I wanted, and I was like, "Hey, how much is this?" And he was like, I can't remember, $22. So I did the math on my phone. I'm like, wait a minute, but the retail price is $14.99, and he was like, no, the retail price is $16.99.
There's a place online where you can go and you could just type in stuff and it'll do the math for you.
I was in Canada, and I was not gonna pay. Was not gonna pay. What's it called? The extra
Melanie
money
sassy.
to have my phone Wi-Fi or my phone internet.
What are you talking about? You're just BSing. Go ahead.
I was trying to get the book for the retail price, and the guy was lying to me. Well, apparently he wasn't lying to me. And in Canada, it was like $2 more than in America.
Oh.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, well, now that
3D.
there you go. That balances everything out, Bo. You guys get Blu-ray releases that we don't.
Oh, excellent. We'll have all the copies of Babe.
3D. We just happen to have these handy.
Melanie, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So I've been watching Near Mint Condition now for probably 2.5 years, but in the last year, I would say watching it a hell of a lot more, right? As in the last 2.5 years, you were, but collectively, you were a YouTube channel that I used to watch every now and then, where in the last year, I now chuck you on every day, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I've noticed that in the live streams, and I could be completely wrong here, but you weren't always in them as active, always there in the show every single live stream, were you? That's only been in the last year or so, or am I?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why is that? Is that just because you're more into comics, or you just want to be with Omar? What's the reason for wanting to be in the show more?
It's both, because it started out as, like, baby, if you don't mind me explaining, that we, a few years ago, we were doing marriage counseling, and one of the things was like, you have your split personalities. You have your private identity. What's the word? And then you have your marriage identity.
Yeah.
Do something, create something together.
And your work identity and different sides.
Yeah. And
you might be a couple, but you're your own people still as well.
yeah. And so we wanted to do something together. So I was like, well, I could help out with the channel because I mean I like the stuff, right? I remember when he first started with his friends and stuff, I was like, I don't have confidence in myself. I think like twice I joined in a panel. I was like, because I do so much better at communicating writing than trying to think of words off the top of my head verbally. And so, yeah, so I started helping out and probably still, I remember just really not having that much confidence. And then I guess I practiced enough that now, it's a weekly thing and it's just, and I have fun and it's just how I also help out. And
well, a bit of feedback for you is it's been a wonderful addition. Because as much as I enjoy Omar, there's only so much of just him I can watch, and you bring it to the table is fantastic. And on top of that,
it's fun, like how we rib each other, right? Like when you,
well, fun. Exactly right. And the other point I wanted to bring out as well, not to get too serious either, but you mentioned marriage counselling. I've actually got it jotted down here. One of the points that I wanted to bring up was one of the things that I love about you both is how. Like you watch other YouTube channels, and I've got to admit, even when I started doing this, I did this. You have a different personality online. And after a while, you start to realize, why am I doing it? It's because you want to be a presenter. You want to be entertaining.
And I think you did. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking earlier, like genuinely, I was like, wow, he's really good at speaking.
Well, thank you. But watching you two is what made me realize you don't need to put on airs. You can just be yourself, and if people like it, good on you, and if they don't, well, good on you too. And it got to a point where I remember on one of your live streams, you actually brought up the fact that you guys went to marriage counselling, and that sort of took me aback a bit, because you're watching a comic book stream and you don't expect us to take part in conversations like that. And when you did, I sat back and I went, hang on a minute. And I really reflected on it for a little while, because me and my partner were having, a few issues, and I love her to death. And I'm pretty sure she likes me a lot. And I said to her, you know what? These people that I watch every day, they've just solidified how real things are. We might not be perfect. We have a couple of issues. And if the people that you're watching on TV every day can be that real with you, then it puts things into perspective, is what I'm trying to say. And it actually made my perspective in my relationship actually help. And I just wanted you guys to know that that's the sort of impact that you can have. Well done.
Good. I'm glad, seriously. I don't know what to say.
That's it. I'll go to
thank you for listening.
I'll go to another question so that it can.
Wait a minute. How does she get those deep philosophical questions, and I get, Omar,
because you react like
the Australian dollar so much more crappier than the American dollar?
Because I don't know that,
and I have to try to solve a world crisis with two computers by trying to figure out how much the Australian dollar is compared to the American dollar.
You know what? I'm gonna do Michael Tawney a favor right now, because Michael Tawney watches you every live stream as well, and I see his questions pop through, and you answer a few of them, but unfortunately, you have a million people asking you stuff. Michael wants,
and I do my best to share.
You do.
A million? It's like 300 or so.
It feels like a million to me.
I'm sure it feels like a million to Melanie, since she has to filter out the questions.
And like I said, I'm trying to be fair and make sure.
When are the
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was going to say, Michael wants to know when more 2099 omnibuses are coming. He wants to know when a Death's Head omnibus is coming, and I don't know what else you asked for, Mike. But you asked.
I can answer.
See, there you go, baby. Now it's your turn.
2099 Spider-Man comes out this month, finally in May. I just got my review copy, and it's nostalgic. Volume 2 comes out next year. X-Men 2099 got pushed back until next year. So those are your three. But if you're looking for things like Doom or Punisher 2099, I don't know yet. I would love a Doom 2099, just all in one collection. That would be great. What was the other one about the
Death's Head?
Oh my gosh, I would love that. But Death's Head is like, to get all of Death's Head. First of all, you would have to include the Doctor Who, Transformers, Death's Head story, which kind of like began everything.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, it's a licensing nightmare. because in the UK, that's how they were released in a magazine. So nobody can really, it's not like Marvel has the
Doctor?
rights to Doctor Who. I don't know.
It
I
would
only
have-
read it digitally.
It would have been the I think it would have been the scarf wearing doctor, whatever number he
Baker?
was.
Tom Baker,
Tom
maybe?
Baker.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Tom Baker. You weren't even
But-
born when Tom Baker started, Bo.
But yeah, it's things like that are stuck in legal nightmares that because it was Marvel UK and the UK had a different way of releasing books over there, and the books shared. Maybe Peter will know. Peter, was that ever reprinted? Because Peter has those beautiful Transformers collections that. Oh man,
Thank you, Peter.
Oh man.
we've talked about it. I'm still on the thumb them. I don't know if I need them.
Also, I wanted to run this by you. I said this on a live stream once as well. And
Wait, I think I know what you're going to say.
now. Oh, go for it, Mel.
Omar officiating your wedding. I think you were drunk. You were like, I'm drunk.
Yeah, what is your lady think about that?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed now. Okay, anyway, no, it was
You officiated Maddie's wedding.
I did.
Well, a wedding is coming up, so you never know. And you said 2025 you're coming to Australia, huh?
Yes.
And then we would
Anyway, the question.
Mhm.
You have there's been a little buzz recently about I know that you did your top 60. We voted for our
That
omnibuses
was
we wanted.
that was your also.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one of them was because in around the Australia Facebook groups, a lot of people want a Old Man Logan omnibus. Now, my idea, here we go,
Mhm.
is a Marvel Wastelanders omnibus because you'd probably have to have two of them, right? But you've got the Old Man Hawkeye, you've got the Old Man Quill, Old Man Logan, Dead Man Logan. They recently did a Wastelanders trade that was like 5 one-shots. I'm just saying that could be a thing. That was all I wanted to say.
That's all
Sorry.
That wasn't even a question, bro.
It
was just
was
a
a statement.
statement.
Sorry, a
How
statement.
about question is, could it possibly happen?
Sure, that's
Yes,
easier to
yes.
happen than Doctor Who meets Transformers meets Death's Head. They own the rights to all that stuff.
I just wanted somebody to listen to that comment and go, "Yes, bro, you are correct."
No, that's a good
That's
idea.
all I wanted.
You gotta sell it on the name, right? So it would have to be Old Man Logan. And the Mighty
okay.
Misadventures in the Wastelanders, or whatever they could call it. Yes, thank you,
Mighty
Peter.
Misadventures of the Wastelanders.
Whatever they want to call it, yeah.
What omnibuses are you personally still waiting for, apart from more New Warriors?
I think I'm done with New Warriors. Volume 3 is that era that wraps up New Warriors for me. But I mean, I could always take more because there were other New Warrior series I would like to see collected. Even the crappy Civil War New Warriors, like the Zeb Wells. Oh, I hated that story. I usually do my list every July. I think this year I want to do. It seems like I want to focus more on gap fillers because besides the obvious one like Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, it seems like we've gotten so many new books that now it's time to let's shift the focus back to those gap filling volumes like Road to Onslaught. I'm sure will be in the top vote for me because it's been so many years that Age of Apocalypse and Onslaught have come out. We don't have that Road to Onslaught omnibus. It was the Seventh Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. Thank you for that, Michael.
Well, I know Steve. He's not a big omnibus collector, but he's a very, very big Green Lantern fan, and he's very excited for the news of the possibility of that Green Lantern Corps.
Well, it's coming, and it looks like they decided to add those 3 missing issues. I mean, of course, they could have added more, but I'll take the 3 over not adding Ion and things like that in there. Adding Ion would have been such a good idea, though, because it literally like sets up the events of Sinestro War with the character of Kyle.
Yep.
I doubt it, Ryan.
Yeah, they tend to do their own thing, right? And I understand from a company's perspective, right? Okay, let's actually, that's a good question. Can you highlight that, Ryan? I mean, Bo.
Ryan, highlight your own comment.
COVID. I'm just gonna keep blaming that.
Okay. That's actually a really cool idea.
Okay, so the problem with this is that, let's say, Ryan, you come up with like the mapping and a book idea for, I don't know, NFL Super Pro. And 2 years later, Marvel releases NFL Super Pro Omnibus, right? With the exact same mapping and the exact like covers that you chose. So I think once that happens, then they start, anybody could be like, hey, that was my idea. Like, where's my 10% cut, or where's my free copy of the book, or things like that. I think that's why most companies don't, and I mean, not just comic book companies, I mean, toy companies or video game companies, like, don't really reach out to the fan base as to like new ideas, because something like that can happen legally.
I see your point. Perhaps though, this person was asking, like Ryan was asking, like just in general, like not mapping it, not designing it, just be like, hey.
I did ask about that in the past, and they said, no, we kind of do our own thing, which is why they have that department. They don't mind getting ideas from time to time, like when jumping on the live stream or something, and they see somebody put something up, and they're like, oh, it sounds like a good idea. We may do that. I feel like, sometimes they do have to branch out, and just because eventually you're going to have everything collected just about.
So I haven't read any X-Men really before Bendis, because I always wanted to jump in. I always wanted to jump into X-Men, and I've been reading for 30 years. I knew that there was a hell of a lot. So since collecting omnibuses, I think I have every X-Men omnibus that's been out so far. And I keep saying to myself, when am I going to sit down and do the whole thing? But I just keep saying to myself, I'm pretty sure, for example, like News Pui just said, Extinction Agenda will come out, Days of Future Present, all these other future X-Men omnibuses. I keep thinking to myself, I'll wait until there's no gaps and then just read everything X-Men for about a year. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Or if I should just...
Agenda is such a great storyline. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a DC guy, and I've been collecting comics since sort of late 80s. And just Extinction Agenda, I used to collect Marvel back then. Bo knows all about that. I love that story. That story arc is absolutely brilliant. It'd be absolutely a shame to leave it out of it on me.
Yeah, there's just so much I want to read. Like, I'm looking at my shelf, and, I mean, for someone like Omar that knows these stories like the back of your hand, I can't imagine what it's like reading Inferno for the first time, Mutant Massacre for the first time, all these classic stories. So
you may hate it.
Yeah, I might. Yeah,
you may hate it.
What about you, Mel? Have you got any omnibuses that you're wanting to ever be created? You got a character
Alf.
that? Hey,
Alf.
Alf.
No, and because I've got what am I trying to say? Oh, because when I was a kid, I read Spider-Man and a little bit of X-Men, and it was just like single back issues that just, hey, I like the cover, I'm going to buy that with my allowance money, right? And then in like high school, I started getting more into video games and anime and college and stuff, and then going back to comics when I met Omar, and so I don't really have that background. Like, there isn't like, hey, I want this collected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And also, I'm really lucky, and I could just, hey, that looks cool. We've got a whole library in the basement. I'll read this.
Hey, we did have a rule though for a long time.
Absolute.
Yeah.
I couldn't touch his.
You couldn't touch the absolutes.
No, we weren't married then. That's no. Can't touch my absolutes.
And then for a wedding present, I got Absolute Sandman.
Yeah.
I had to start touching the absolute. I swear
fantastic.
that I dog-eared something, and I don't remember doing that. I don't see myself doing that.
What happened was she lost all my faith when I let her borrow. We were starting the day. It was my Gunsmith Cats trade paperback. It was an omnibus.
Dog-eared that?
From Dark Horse Comics. Yeah, and she dog-eared. I'm like, what are you doing? This is what they make bookmarks for. And she's like, what? It's a trade paperback. Oh my gosh.
I only dog-ear. Wait, do you know what I'm talking about with dog-ear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if
we didn't know if it was a term.
Yeah.
Dogs in Australia.
Okay. Yeah, but people don't know when you go like that. I only get it for
gosh, I
like
thought it was a River Runner book.
cheap paperback regular books. Like I'm reading I Am Legend by Robert Matheson, that the movie's based on. And yeah, that I don't care. I'll just bookmark it or
Oh, I'm shaking that moment.
what is
You
it?
did too. I moved house and I lost my Orange Lantern ring.
That whole dog ear thing it's making me shake. I'm not coping.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did it.
That's a good question.
A great question.
We all had pictures in them. No, when I met him, he was married because I was friends with his brothers because I'm 4 years younger, right? So like I was a freshman. He had already graduated.
She needs to hurry up with that part of the story.
And he had a action figure collection. I was like, whoa, I want something like this. This is awesome. And now there is one in the house that I live in.
I was. She had nothing to do with that divorce or anything. She always leaves out that part.
Oh, oops! Sorry, no. But we didn't become friends until like a year later.
Yeah. So I was. About a year later. So I was going
after you, because you moved back.
I had to move back in with my parents.
So we all started hanging out.
Yeah, because she was friends with my brothers, and then then we started getting to know each other a lot more. Took me a while to start dating again, but she was there at the right place at the right time.
I noticed recently that this is me doing a segue into a more of a comic question now. The IDW collections of Ninja Turtles. They've all of a sudden the next one's coming out. Usually we have a bit of notice, is my point, where I'm looking through the previews and all of a sudden the new one's coming out. My question is, do you reckon that's just going to continue? Because it's been a lot of books now, the hardcover editions.
I would hope so because, well, okay. As long as they still hold the rights. Right now, they're going through a lot of issues.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's why I'm concerned. Because I don't want to be stuck with like a Spider-Girl-ish problem that we've got now. You know, there's no more complete collections.
As long as they still hold the rights and as long as they still have a company, yeah.
Oh, don't say that, Rod of his prime rib. Oh,
that's one of their most
said it, Omar.
best-selling ones. But here, let's actually, if you don't mind, highlight that.
Yeah.
40% of their workforce.
Wow.
IDW is almost dead. Okay, so keep in mind, IDW is a company that has gone bankrupt already twice.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's not like they haven't had issues for the longest time. They did cut 39% of the workforce. My contact over there, Keith Davidson, I just actually reached out to him when I found out. We've been talking a little bit. He's a super cool guy. He's the guy we met at New York Comic Con, baby.
Oh, yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he lost his job along with everybody else on his team.
Oh.
So, that's not a good sign, but I mean, look at DC Comics. Look at the way they're running ship on a skeleton crew. We can gripe and complain about the lack of omnis and the lack of absolutes, but they're still coming out and people are still buying them. I hate to say this, and but a lot of these layoffs and things like that are going to keep happening. You see one company doing it and still thriving, or not being as successful as they used to be, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to say which company. But I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. The social media company that laid off 60%, I think, of their employees, and they're still around. So you see other companies see that, and they're like, "Well, look, they're not going under. They're running just fine."
I like IDW.
So unfortunately, and IDW also had the problem of just overreaching with IP. They had a couple of serious hits like Lock and Key. But most of their big hits, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're all IPs. And when you're buying IPs, unfortunately, you either get the whole thing or you have to work out some deal where you're paying an arm and a leg for just specific things. So those properties came with things like Action Man and ROM and Micronauts, and you're paying an arm and a leg for those things, but you're not doing anything with them besides like a couple of new series. So I think it was just way too much for a small company like that, and maybe this is
look at how smart you are. Like I would not know that at all.
It's all COVID talk. So now it's now
I
it's
don't know that's how a company runs.
Now maybe it's time to just reorganize, and unfortunately, part of that is losing 39% of your workforce. And let's see what we can do now with what we got, and maybe start over. I would hate for them to become, for lack of a better word, an IP farm, like I'm just going to say it, Aftershock Comics. Aftershock Comics, I think everybody knows, is an IP farm for. Do you all know what that is? I'm sorry, I'm just talking like.
I was just about to ask you to explain it.
What it is like they make a specific company knowing damn well what they're made for, and that's to pitch ideas for movies and TV projects that will get eventually shopped around, and somebody will pick up this idea and pay for it, and that's what you do. That's how you run your business. It's not really about the comics, but it's about making IPs, and that's kind of the way Aftershock is ran. I would hate for IDW to go that route.
Right.
Brad Pitt omnibus.
Brad Pitt omnibus.
How about that?
Talking about the Pit.
That was funny,
Pit.
Oh, okay.
So I guess the reason why I was asking more about the IDW is because for two reasons. One, obviously the cost of things here that we touched on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And two, when you have I am only allowed one room like this, I can't have two. So when I have, as you can't tell, but I have like wall-to-wall omnibuses and things here, right? So what I have to do is I can't double dip at all. As soon as an omnibus comes out, if I have it already in a trade or a hardcover, I have to sell it or give it away because I just don't have the room.
Yeah.
So when I buy new books now, I have to consider not just do I want them, do I want to read them more than once? I have to consider. I'll give you an example. I spent $50 on Judgment Day, Marvel's event recently, right?
The trade paperback.
The trade paperback, right? And there was two of them, so that's $100, right? $50 each. And you go, it is what it is. It's a bit expensive, but at least I've got it. Now I can read it. I'm happy. And then a month later, an omnibus is announced. So you play this game of do you wait for an omnibus or do you not? Because you don't know if an omnibus is guaranteed.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's the space on the shelf as well. Ryan will laugh at me in the chat here because I bought Devil's Reign, all those trades. And Ryan said to me, don't do it. So did Sharif, actually. Don't do it. An omnibus will definitely come out of Devil's Reign. And I said, I don't care. I want to read it now. I need to know now because knowing my luck, Mel, the omnibus won't come out. And then by the time you want to get the trades, they're now out of print. So I just don't know which avenue to go down. I think you just have to gamble from now on and see what happens.
I think though, like your motivation behind it makes sense. So buy it. You're like, I want to read it now, right? That if you're that passionate about it, go. It's fine. Go ahead and read it if you've got the means. And that's just my opinion. And Claudia,
I do think we're.
That's Claudia's my partner, Mel. So she's agreeing to your Brad Pitt omnibus. We'll talk about that later.
I guess just pictures. I don't know. Wait, and put word bubbles for famous lines of dialogue.
It's going to be like way for the ladies, but it's all pictures rather than words.
What if he's a huge comic book fan?
That
like a
cool.
Huge comic book fan, and we didn't know any. Those are like the Brad Pitt best stories, but they're all stories that are like well hated by everyone else.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Let's All-Star Batman and Robin.
Like All-Star Batman and Robin.
Oh my god,
Marvel.
I'm reading for the book club that's tomorrow for our Patreon, and I started reading yesterday morning, and I couldn't stop laughing. Oh my gosh. So I was reading at school, and the student was like, "Is it what?" And I was like, "It's just so bad." Oh my gosh.
So,
doesn't
Bo,
make any sense.
to answer your question, it is a different time we live in now that more than likely an event book will get an omnibus edition, especially if it's like a big event book, a big seller. It seems like they've been doing that, right? We've seen it with Empire, and Empire wasn't even a huge seller. We've seen it with War of the Realms. We've seen it with the King in Black. We've seen it with the what you just said, the Devil's Reign book, and Judgment Day. I announced that, right? Damn it, I can't. Okay. Yeah. So we've seen it happen time and time again. So odds are, if it's an event book that is a huge seller, that I assume Dark Web is going to get an omnibus.
Oh no, I just ordered those two.
But here's the thing, though. This is what I tell everybody, dude, and this is my God honest answer. Like, okay, yeah, there's an omnibus coming. Or we know, like, people always ask me about Uncanny X-Men. Like, hey, should I just wait for Uncanny X-Men Volume 7 or get Fall of the Mutants now?
Yeah.
If you can wait, then yeah, sure, wait for it. But if you want to read it now, go. Why should you not? And I mean, and these are people that don't like digital, by the way. So I always remember, because I never suggest digital. It's like some of them get really offended. They're like, how dare you? I'm not going to read digitally.
Omar doesn't own All-Star Batman.
I don't own All-Star or the Absolute All-Star
because
Batman.
when I went to look for it, I'm like, it's not the Absolute.
Yeah, I disappointed my wife for the first
time.
No,
it's okay.
For the first time.
I don't have it. She was absolutely shaming me.
All right, well, I know you guys.
Wasn't there a Civil War omnibus on the way until Omar killed it? I didn't kill it. That was just, they forgot about it. No, they weren't working on that. I did think House of M would do better than Civil War. I mean, we know there's going to be a Civil War omnibus one day. There's no doubt about it. It will come.
I've got to admit, I was quite happy with that. I wasn't expecting it, but I was really happy with that House of M companion, because I remember when you announced the House of M omnibus, I said to myself, as happy as I am, what about all that new that came years later, all that House of M stuff? And there you go.
Oh, yeah, the companion.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's X-Men, so it's going to sell. And we know that it's coming. And it's one of those books that once it's gone, it might not be reprinted for a while. So, yeah, I'm happy for the people that have been wanting those books collected. Absolutely.
All right, Steve, have you got any questions for Melanie Omar? Because I feel like I have dominated this whole chat. I'm so sorry, my friend.
Sorry, I only have one question. Omar, Bo was telling me recently. Oh, sorry, mate. You go.
No, I was listening.
He was just saying yes.
Oh, cool. Bo was telling me recently that you actually interviewed Peter Tomasi.
Yes.
Just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that, because I haven't had a chance to watch it as yet. So, obviously, as Bo said, I'm a bit of a Green Lantern fan.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, just want to know.
Does he have the oath? What does it say?
Yeah.
There you go.
Melanie, can you say the oath?
Classy.
That's pretty cool.
How long have you had that?
About 2 months.
Oh, it's new. Can you make it dance? Make it dance.
I'm not taking my clothes off. I've done this before. But yeah, I just want to know a little bit about the conversation that you had with him, mate, because I've heard that he's a really decent guy, and
he's great, man. He's a big collector like we are.
He was really nice, actually, in the interview.
Yeah, he's a big collector like we are. So he loves big books, and he, we talked about how these things are made. We talked a little bit about the Batman by Peter Tomasi omnibus. So he was very happy about that. And then we talked about the Green Lantern Corps omnibus. Of course, Green Lantern Corps omnibus, I was like, that's missing. And he's like, yeah, but we actually talked about that. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, because you gotta, oh man, it was funny because we kept going back and forth, because he was like, well, you got to consider the page count. We're already looking at 1,200 pages, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Squirrel Girl has 1,600 pages though. I'm just letting you know about that. It's funny because both him and I come from the collected editions mentality. Like we both love it. He did say that unfortunately Marvel would not let right now Patrick Gleason has a contract with Marvel, and part of that contract is he cannot draw anything for any other company.
Okay.
By the way, contracts are great if you don't have one. That's what you want, because that gets you a lot of the perks that you don't normally have if you're a contractor. Like if you're hired, if you're a hired contractor, then you don't get like medical insurance. And it's a big deal here in America. But anyway, so he had a plan to draw a cover for the Green Lantern core omnibus to match the Batman and Robin and Superman omnibus by Peter Tomasi. So like
so good.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I wanted him to do it, and he even did a sketch. Ah, man.
Wow.
So
yeah.
I was a little upset about that, but
custom dust jacket it is.
Yeah, there you go. And Sharif can hook you up with that because he knows all about the measuring the spines and stuff. I'm looking at doing my first soon, starting with Starman, Will Payton, and maybe Guy Gardner. Look at that; those are so yeah. There's no way those will get. Well, I say no way. Who knows? We'll get a Guy Gardner Warrior omnibus one day. But he was a great guy to talk to. Really laid back, and he gave some really good insight as to how collected editions work over there, and how DC can listen to people by just tweet at the @DC Comics being like, please include these issues in the omnibus. He's like, somebody actually reads that stuff, and it gets things changed.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I know you guys are very busy, and if it was up to me, I'd have you on here for a few more hours. But I know that you guys got to keep doing some videos, and you got it's early in the morning for you as opposed to late for us. So I'll do the kind, nice thing and say it's probably the end of the show now. I reckon it's been an hour and 10 minutes, and I got to say, Omar, Melanie, thank you so much. Especially because you've been on our show once before, Omar, and when you have somebody like yourself, and as well as yourself, Melanie, too, that is kind enough and generous enough to be on the show in the first place.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Well, no, that's my point. This show was actually Omar's idea on a live stream. He said, when am I coming back on AussieVerse? And I sat there and went, whatever you want, mate. I was like, I didn't want to ask you again, and I was gonna leave it for a year. So thank you so much, and Melanie, thank you so much for accompanying him this time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us on. This has been a blast. I wish I was feeling better, and we would have been in the same room. But maybe next time, we'll save that for next time.
And Steve, I encourage you to find some kind of adjective to make your handle, because I notice everybody's got one. You need one.
Because it's just the other guy, because we've got Grodd and OmniBeau. So I think I might just call myself Single Issue Steve.
There you go. That's a good one.
A Single Issue Steve.
Single Issue Steve. I like that.
All right, let's run with that, mate.
All right, we're going with that. You got the approval from Newman Condition done. Before we go, this is a word from our sponsor, the good old Comx. If you do want to sponsor us, if you do want to check out Australian comics, Australian comic book creators, Australian comic book artists, anything to do with Australian book comics, please go check out Comx. Well, they also do have one flat shipping rate. You can buy one comic 5, 10, 20, and they will only charge you the one flat shipping rate. And they are so awesome that they sponsor our videos. Thank you very much for joining us. Catch you next time, guys.
Bye, everybody.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.